Welcome to another week of Libertarians at Large. This is a special week because this is our 1-year anniversary. My name is Eric Rautzep, and this is where we discuss the news and express a libertarian point of view on the goings-on in our nation and world. We welcome your comments and questions in the chat box, so feel free to comment regularly. We may share your comment live on the air. This week, I'm joined with my fellow Libertarian at Large member Laura Ebke, and our special guest, Dan Fishman.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Dan.
Eric, I appreciate you playing the old school introduction because it leads to sort of the story about why I thought Libertarians at Large was a really important thing. We just come out of this, fractious convention. And I thought, you know what? In the at-large members, we have a wide variety of political viewpoints representing pieces of the Libertarian Party. I thought if we all get together on screen and we have a dialogue, that's going to do something to bring the party together. It's going to hopefully help to end some of the factionalism. And unfortunately, because of time constraints and stuff like that, people weren't able to. It never worked out that way. But I still think it's a good idea.
And, it's a great idea. It's spurned on some great conversations. And, hey, I know at least me, I have a heck of a lot of fun doing it. So to me, it's a win-win-win.
I mean, the best thing about being a libertarian is other libertarians.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also the worst thing about being
I was just thinking that, Dan.
We were thinking it.
It is awesome for us to get together and have ideas. And, we do. Every libertarian represents a different viewpoint. And so, we have those conversations. And when we talk honestly, we spur the audience on. We get your questions. Audience, post your questions now, please. But that's the best thing about it. And so I'm really delighted to be here. Thank you so much for having me back.
Dan, you raised a really good point, Dan, that libertarians are not all the same, right? I mean, that we all have different perspectives on different issues. And while we may all be pushing in the same general direction, we aren't going to see everything the same way. And we ought to embrace that as the party of liberty and freedom, not spurn it,
Well, and especially I think people should realize that to a certain extent, the people who work for the party and the people who represent the party need to hear those disparate viewpoints. And at times it's helpful for you, the audience, to express those things. As an example, I posted something on Facebook today that I never could have posted when I was executive director, talking about my concern about cetaceans. There's this big, large slaughter of dolphins and completely unnecessary. And for me, I mean, I like the idea of a libertarian solution of assigning a value to them and saying, you know what, the Danes aren't killing dolphins if they're worth $100,000.
Right.
But it is one of the things that, for me, killing other sentient creatures is a place where I say, well, you know what, maybe that is a place for coercion when we recognize murder going on. I can say that now because I'm just a member of the Libertarian Party, bring something like that up. A show like this gives the opportunity for people to put those ideas out there and to see them discussed by the LNC, which is, that's what we need. So shout out everybody who's there and happy Constitution Day.
Speaking of Constitution Day, seeing that this is our 1-year anniversary, I want to kind of have a throwback here for a second.
All right. I like what
you're talking about. That's it.
Oh, no.
Good evening, Libertarians. My name is Dan Fishman. I am the Executive Director of the Libertarian Party, and you are watching LPTV. And today is a special day because it's Constitution Day. I fondly remember memorizing the preamble in my youth. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, ensure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States. And truly, I believe the United States Constitution is one of the most amazing feats of mankind, to write a document to allow us all to give live together relatively peacefully, peaceful transition of government. And I often talk about the fact that politics is just a terrible business to be in. And I know it's my business, but I could not hate politics so much. I do not love my country more. That's why I'm a member of the Libertarian Party. I'm joined today by several of my colleagues on the Libertarian Party. Laura Ebke is a member at large from Nebraska. Valerie Sarwark, member at large from New Hampshire. And Eric Raudsep, member at large, currently residing in North Carolina. So
Yeah.
I'd like to look.
And that's how it all started.
I want to vote for that guy. That was an
Right?
awesome introduction.
And I'm going to add Valerie also back into the stream here. So we got the whole crew back together. Look at
What's
that.
up, Val?
Oh. So
You know,
yeah, that's how that's where it all started right there.
It's funny. Like I look to it like my camera work and my lighting is better green screen in the background, except that my arms go away. But normally I try not to wave them. It's tough because I need my hands to talk. I am a Mediterranean person, but yeah, it's, that was the other thing about it at that point in time, right? We were still, I mean, I don't know where we are in COVID now, but then we were like, waist deep in COVID. And the idea of us being able to come together and have a continuity between us as libertarians was so important. And I mean, for me, it was very meaningful. And, I really am so happy. I tune in every Thursday. I love seeing what you guys do. It's a wonderful show. And so thank you guys for, is it trite or a pun for us to say to continue to carry the torch?
It's kind of the libertarian way right there, isn't it?
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. The other thing that is, meaningful to me about this is that with all of us together, I like to think that there is this widespread geographical thing here as well. In that, I'm essentially New England. It's funny because Valerie and I are reversed now, right? She should be Tidewater and I should be New England, but we live in different places. But whatever. And then we've got the heart of the plains, and Eric representing. I mean, I don't know if North Carolina is the deep South, but
the Southeast.
The Southeast,
exactly. Right, Southeast Conference for all intents and purposes. And that's another thing about it, is that it's sort of this idea of, again, in COVID, we're all able to get together one way or another. So,
Can you hear my cat?
Yes.
She wants in. Well, we have those 2 extra spaces. Since, you guys never
Just
changed.
laying on the couch in my office making a racket.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I do want to say that for tonight's episode, I've broken out the special plum brandy, sometimes known as, well, in this case, it's called Rika, but sometimes called Slivovica as well. But here's to you guys.
Cheers. I am.
Cheers, whatever. Yeah.
All right. It's good that we drink together too.
There you go. Absolutely. So what have you been up to, Dan? I mean,
well, it's interesting. I was entirely planning on just going back to being a tech guy. I have, everyelection.us. It's out in beta. And if you live in Massachusetts, it's very useful right now, especially because of, there's all the elections going on. Boston is about to elect their first non-white male mayor in the history of the city, in the 400-year history of the city, which is pretty impressive. And that's all being tracked there. But then Lauren Postler came to me and said, Dan, there's an important reason for you to stay active in the liberty movement. And I wasn't planning on quitting the Libertarian Party or anything like that. But she's like, there are some things that we can model for other people, that it doesn't just have to be the members of the members of the LNC or the staff, stuff like that. There are things that people who are in the liberty movement can do to advance the cause of liberty. And if we do that on a large scale, we can show that. And we were fortunate enough to get Joe Jorgensen to come in and be the president of the board for People for Liberty. And, you know, Joe ran a really fascinating campaign in 2020. I mean, she ran a great campaign. I was happy about all the things that she did. Highest fundraiser out of any candidate except for the 2016 Johnson Weld ticket, but also the highest total of any candidate in their first run. So she did better than Gary Johnson did in 2012. Yep. But one of the things that she said is, I really want to grow the party while I'm running. So everywhere she went, you know, her campaign went to 48 states, physically went to 48 states. And everywhere they went, you know, they passed out, join the Libertarian Party pamphlets and information, trying to get people to sign up, stuff like that. But then specifically, she said after the campaign, she's like, you know, I can't remember the last Libertarian presidential campaign candidate who I saw anywhere the year after the election. And so she wanted to really stay active. And so she actually had reached out to me about forming an organization. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go do tech stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, Lauren Postler convinced me to come in. And so then I went back to Joe and I'm like, all right, we are doing People for Liberty, the group who did the Let Her Speak campaign. And Joe's like, yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, since then, you know, we found the response to be tremendous. And it's been an interesting thing of sort of going through the thread of Libertarian Party history. And, you know, I know I don't want to get too much into sort of where we are, but things that are happening now have happened beforehand. And I am a neophyte to the party. You know, I didn't really get involved in party politics until 2018. You know, 2016, I was the Northeast director for the Johnson Weld campaign, ran for Congress in 2012. I didn't care about the LNC. The LNC was irrelevant to everything that I was doing in Massachusetts. And in fact, the the one time when in 2013 we had a special election and for Senate because John Kerry became Secretary of State, and so it was not Elizabeth Warren, Martha Coakley against Scott Brown. People probably remember Scott Brown pulled off this amazing upset. Republican wins the Senate special election. I needed $30,000 to get on the ballot, and I had $15,000. And so I asked the LNC if they would run a fundraiser for me. And at the time, it wasn't an important thing to do. And so I'm like, all right, well, I don't really have a lot to do at this point in time. There wasn't the candidate support issue. And that's, you know, a great example of how the party's gotten so much better over the last 8 years. Now, candidate support is everything, and that's a big deal. So, but, you know, I've been talking to people, you know, people who are familiar with the party know Jim Babka, who is on the board of directors for People for Liberty and has been involved in the party for a long time and worked for the party back in 2000. And, you know, he talked to me about the fact that there are things that needs to be done for the movement that need to be done outside of the party. And I am very excited and honored to be in a place that we are doing that sort of stuff right now. And, you know, we've been all over the place. We had a big booth at Freedom Fest. People who are in New England, September 26th, which is Sunday, Joe Jorgensen and I will be at the Connecticut Liberty Music Festival. Joe's speaking there. And then October 9th, we will be in Tennessee at the Freer Future Festival, which used to be LibertyCon, run by Students for Liberty. And then if I can plug briefly, peopleforliberty.org/Nashville-breakfast. We're having a breakfast with Joe for anybody who happens to be in the Tennessee area Sunday morning after the convention. And we'll be talking about our plans for the future and stuff like that. So that's really what I've been doing. I have the benefit of the fact that, you know, like all men, I married above myself. And my wife is my sugar mama right now, allowing me to sort of chase my liberty dream, which is, you know, it's nice. And I'm glad to be able to do that. I'm glad to do it because it's so important right now. Like, I mean, I see the rest of the world really devolving into authoritarianism. And if the American experiment ends, and there are a lot of people who want it to end, you know, the idea that there are no kings and no princes, but that we're all citizens dare I say, citizens united, but that we're all in this together. That's so important. And this is the only place that it really happens. I mean, we can point to some of our allies, England, Australia, Germany. You know, they have moderated freedom. They have regulated freedom. When the founding fathers revolted against England, they revolted against the freest country in the world. But they didn't want to be freest. They wanted to be free. And so I'm happy to still be in the free line of work.
It's arguable, but there's a lot of work that needs to happen to get this country back to being free. So, yeah. But David Davis actually asked a plethora of questions. Kind of what are our opinions? First one on the hit list is what's our opinion of term limits? I know I'm pro term limits. I believe that's something that's absolutely vital. Goes back to the old line of politicians in diapers should be changed regularly for the same reason.
Mm-hmm. We already have term limits, though.
Elections.
Well, there you go. But yeah, I mean that's
the thing is that for me, and now this is a controversial thing, but let's talk about it in context of the Constitution. For me, voting is the ultimate expression of political speech.
Right.
And your ability to vote, although the ability to vote isn't specifically codified anywhere in the Constitution, they talk about voting along the way. If 770,000 people make up one congressional district, and let's just say, in my congressional race in 2012, the winner, the Democrat, got 180,000 votes, and the Republican got 177,000 votes, and I got 17,000 votes. If 180,000 people, and they reelected the Democrat in Massachusetts, shocker, 180,000 people want that person to be their congressman, shouldn't they get that?
So
does the government have a right to limit their speech?
Well, and here's the thing: 33% of state legislative positions around the country go uncontested. So that's what changed my opinion on term limits to make me pro term limits, to actually codify it, because so many state positions go uncontested.
I have a little different perspective on term limits as one who didn't get to serve my full 8 years of terms, because of an election. But I will say that when Nebraska instituted term limits in 2002-ish, I think it was, what ended up happening, they were trying to get rid of one person. Citizens were trying to get rid of one person, change the Constitution, right? Mm-hmm. Well, but they wrote they wrote it wrong. So this one person they were trying to get rid of left office for 4 years, one term, and could come back, and he did. But really, what's happened in the Nebraska legislature, any member who is not doing the will of their constituents can be beat anytime. Okay. But the reality of it is that with term limits, you never develop a core of, and we can say it's bad or good, institutional knowledge. And without that, you depend far more on the lobbyists who have the institutional knowledge. You depend on the staff who sticks around. And you never able to build up the sort of consensus and expertise that it takes to actually get big things done. We've been talking about changing our doing major tax reform, changing the way that we fund education. But the problem is that you've got all of these people who have no more than a few years in office, and they don't have time to develop the kind of expertise that it takes to get in a position where they can actually teach the youngsters about how things work. The last big thing that really happened in the Nebraska legislature was back in the late 90s when we did our TIOSA formula for education. And that took one senator having 12 years, being in office for 12 or 16 years and actually developing knowledge. Nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
Dan's muted, but I think a bigger issue with term limits is it's the gerrymandering. I think that's more of the issue than having term limits, because when you're kind of cheating to hold on to your position, then, the elections don't really, they count, but they're a little bit skewed. Sorry, Dan.
I agree with that. The other thing, and incidentally, Dan, you're muted is going to be the title of my biography. It's just going to be a book with blank pages. But, I never thought about it the way you said it, Laura, but 100%. That's the other thing about it, is that if you can only serve 8 years, how much political capital do you earn? Because, if you've only been in office for 4 years, you're still really campaigning. The people don't necessarily trust you per se. And the idea that you say, you know what, I want to do this long range project, you don't get the option to do that. I think of, some of the things that happen, obviously, again, coming from Massachusetts, the land of big and long government. There's a lot of stuff that I look at that I think, that was incredibly forward thinking of them at the time to be able to do it. It was because, you have these sort of legendary speakers of the House in Massachusetts who, were in office for forever. And in many ways, Massachusetts is a weak governor state. The legislature runs everything. And so the Speaker of the House is the most important person in the state. And especially now in Massachusetts, where the Democrats run everything, the Republicans didn't even run in enough seats to be able to override, to sustain a veto if the governor were to veto something. So you cannot pass everything. And I look at some of the long range plans that they did. Well, so here's an example. I don't oppose the use of authority for things like, I don't support the use of authority for things like this. But in 2040, by 2040, there will be no public parking in Boston. Okay. The rationale for it is that they want, either self-driven cars or people to take the train in. And there will be private parking spaces, but private parking spaces are going to be really expensive. And so, that's a move that they can make because, people have enough political capital. Whereas, if you weren't popular, somebody might be able to vote you out based on that sort of thing. You have to have the trust of the people. And, like you said, I don't believe there is such a thing as a truly safe seat, because we've seen, the person who Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez defeated, I can't think of his name, but the guy from New York, right? He was the number 4 Democrat. And the guy that Ayanna Pressley beat, Mike Capuano, he was incredibly senior on the House Ways and Means Committee, could not have been more influential, but the time had come for him to go. And in the primary, they voted him out.
I think the other thing to keep in mind, and I can't say that this happens every place. Nebraska's the freak state with one house and an officially nonpartisan legislature. But I will tell you that what happened with term limits here is that it made the governor much stronger. It made the executive branch much stronger because you didn't have the kinds of people in the legislature who were willing to stand up to the governor and assert the role of the legislative body. So, that's the other danger. Now, to be fair, everybody else has 2 houses, right? So the role of term limits there is probably somewhat less because somebody in your lower house can move up to the upper house. You have this kind of this in and out kind of thing. So people don't necessarily lose all of their legislative knowledge by leaving one of the houses. They move to the other.
So, Dan, I bet you didn't know you have one of your former voters actually watching right now.
Yep. So I know John well. Actually, he has a strong relationship to LBTV. He is the producer of Pat Ford shows.
Oh, nice.
And he also was For those of you kind enough to remember, back when I was, this is Dan Fishman bringing you Liberty on the Air, WRKO AM 680. Podcast over there. John was the producer of our show on WRKO as well. And so, yeah, great guy, John. Thanks so much for still listening and for being one of those, just an amazing libertarian, a guy who, runs the gamut in terms of where he is. Every position that he has is not a libertarian default position. It's a position that he has considered and taken after a great deal of thought. So very proud to call John a friend.
I gave him a shout out at the LNC meeting for his help with the affiliate spotlight with Pat Ford.
Awesome.
Yeah. Good job, John.
David Davis points out that a multi-party system would moderate the politics of the country. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
The question is how you get a third-party system actively engaged enough so that they can actually have a voice, and that's our forever challenge, right?
Well, I mean, I think that's actually a very valid point, because we're the only democracy in the Western world that is operating on a two-party system. You look at the United Kingdom. There are currently 13 parties in Parliament.
That's because of the way that we elect people. I mean, it's because we have all of these single member districts instead of doing any sort of proportional representation like most of the parliamentary systems do, and most places do. I mean, and I'm doing a paper on this right now, and so I have things to say. But I was looking at the Constitution the other day, and there's no reason why we couldn't go to a multi-member district system. Maybe maybe we expand the size of the houses, the House of Representatives, to 10,000. I don't know. You certainly should be much bigger than it is.
Yes.
Right, and that was in the original Constitution.
That was 30,000.
Every 30,000, exactly right.
Yeah.
So we would be at. You didn't just pull that 10,000 person number out of your hat.
Well, hey, there is still an amendment that's sitting out there. It's Madison's 12th or 13th, rather. Well, it was his 12th suggestion, but out of the 13th. That every single member of the U.S. House of Representatives should represent no more than 50,000 individuals, and I think it's a great idea.
That
Bring it
would
in.
do it too. Oh, okay. Here's my little thing. When I was in the legislature, the 26th amendment. What was the last amendment that we did? 27th, 26th,
27th. I think.
27th. It's the one that was one of Madison's. The pay raise. It had already been ratified, but Nebraska hadn't ratified it. So I brought it to the legislature just so that we could put our names on it. So I had somebody give me all sorts of crap for it. One of the senators gave me all sorts of crap, voted against it, thought that it was some sort of a racist scheme and all this sort of stuff. And I said, I don't know. I mean, it's already part of the Constitution. This is really just symbolic.
Right.
And I mean, it's really only about the pay rate for the members of Congress anyway. So
yeah.
I mean,
some people just don't trust anything that changes the Constitution, unless
which of course is crazy, because the Constitution is meant to be changed.
Right.
Right. The Constitution specifically says that there are 3/5 citizens, and all sorts of other moments of embarrassment, temporal moments of embarrassment that we have corrected over time. If I can quote myself from the opening thing, the Constitution is one of the greatest works of man. If you look at the collection of people who are assembled to be our founding fathers, it's unbelievable. It's just amazing. You get that many smart, dedicated people and really selfless coming in there and setting up a system of government. It is, I can't even imagine a system like that happening where all the, I mean, let's face it, let's be honest about it too. It was wealthy landowners who had the ability to do that, but they got together and they created a system that was specifically intended to allow freedom of mobility between the different economic strata and social strata. They built that system deliberately. And, here we are, in many ways trying to take that apart by some of the stuff that's happening in our governmental system. It would be awesome if we could find a way to not be a two-party country, but, we're coming up against a weakness that is a strength of America. Calvin Coolidge said, the business of America is business. We're so good at business. We are so good at understanding processes and how to maximize them. And election science is the same thing. The Republicans and the Democrats are corporations. They actually are incorporated, and they sell elections, and they're excellent at it. They know how to win elections. The party itself, the party could give, we're not on the FCC, the party could give two shits about what they actually stand for. All they want to do is get their people elected, and they'll do anything they can. And they'll make sure that the marginalized, the moderate candidates don't get elected, because they recognize that weakens their position. They just want to sell the elections.
Hey, look at the Commission for Presidential Debates. It's run by the Republicans and the Democrats.
Yep.
But I mean, going back to your Constitution comment, you look globally, and the average Constitution only lasts 7 years. So the fact that our Constitution has been in place, coming up, I mean, it's not too far away from 250 years old.
Yep.
Is a testament to the fact that our Constitution is a living document, and it was expertly written, and the fact that it's only 4 pages and is the defining sense. I mean, one of our viewers actually made the comment before that most constitutions take away power from individuals. Ours takes away power from the government. And I think that is another testament to the success of our Constitution over many other countries.
It's genius. The fact that everything is, shall make no laws, shall not infringe, the people shall be free from all that stuff. It's a genius, and it's such a revolutionary idea. Even now, other constitutions guarantee the rights of people. It's government giving them those rights. Ours is just the opposite. You are certain inalienable rights.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yep. And it's baked into our society.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm reading some of the other comments here.
yeah.
Read the mean ones.
Yeah.
The mean ones.
See, I can't see them, so it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Oh wait, no, I can't see them. I forgot how this works. Right.
but I mean, yeah, no, it's yes, a lot of the other constitutions can be amended, David. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are unique living documents like ours is.
Well, and our Constitution is really unique because it is just kind of bare bones. I mean, it's there to protect our rights, which is a very classically liberal thing to do. Whereas if you go to state constitutions, I don't know about everybody else's state constitution, but Nebraska's state constitution is much, 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 much longer than the federal constitution, because we've decided everything needs to be put into the Constitution, and it's silliness, because the Constitution is not of Nebraska is not there to protect rights. It's there to define what government can do.
It's interesting. When is statehood for Nebraska?
1867.
So it's interesting to see the difference between the pre and the post Civil War constitutions as well.
And that's exactly what I was bringing up, because I grew up in New York, and the New York Constitution is relatively short. It's longer than the U.S. Constitution, but it's about like 25 pages.
Yeah,
it's not huge. You look at the North Carolina Constitution, which had to be completely redone after the Civil War, and we're talking about a 150-page document.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then you look at, other states like Hawaii or, that are towards the end. Now you're talking about multi-hundreds of pages. And it's really interesting, the idea of constitution evolution in our own country and how we treat constitution.
Yeah, Massachusetts, which I just have to shout out Massachusetts. The Massachusetts Constitution actually is the model for the American Constitution. Been in service since 1780, so it predates the U.S. Constitution by 9 years. And it's a very short document. Since then, people have passed a lot of laws. Massachusetts general law is crazy, but the Constitution itself is very simple. And that's the other thing that is really, we can argue about it, but the idea of federalism that is in the Constitution, that, the federal government really only exists to defend the rights of the people against other governments, including the state. And then, some other things, mint currency and maintain a navy and post offices and stuff like that. But, that's the idea that, they gave it to us. The founders gave it to us in our name. We are meant to be states united.
Yep.
We're not meant to be a unified country. We're supposed to be like this.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's very true.
All right. Is it quiz time?
It's quiz time.
I'm ready.
Okay. And
wait, this is new.
Yeah. We've migrated.
We're not as smart as you, Dan. So we've
actually migrated over to the Washington Weekly News Quiz provided by PBS. And the reason for it is because they ask more political questions, because the New York Times News Quiz got very entertainment based.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah, because the failing New York Times, the ex-president would say.
And fortunately we had Valerie. It was no longer germane to the show. So yeah, we migrated over. Okay, question number 1. Who won the California recall election?
No one.
I definitely can say that the people lost.
That's right.
It was
Newsom.
of California lost.
Yeah, Newsom 2/3, right?
60%. Yeah. He much larger. I was fairly certain he was going to win the recall, but I thought it was going to be like 52 or 53%.
The thing about it is that there's a lot of, we talk about this election science. A few things that are happening, but, the Democrats have gotten really good at realizing that they can't be complacent anymore. And so in a state like California, where they really do have a 2-to-1 majority, they're just turning out the vote, and they've gotten really good at it. Yep. And obviously mail-in ballots makes a big difference.
Well, and if you've seen any of his ads in the last 2 to 3 weeks of the campaign, wow, did he get good at fear mongering?
That and the other thing about it is that he got lucky, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
His individual number is higher because the opposition coalesced around Larry Elder, who, whatever you think about him, is a polarizing figure.
Oh,
and then people who started to look at it as just a 2-person race said, well, I'm either going to vote for Larry Elder or for Gavin Newsom, as opposed to, before Elder really rose up. There was at least one excellent candidate, our friend Jeff Hewitt, who was on the ballot. But once Elder got in there, that sort of forced people to either vote for Elder or vote for Newsom, because they want to vote for 2 people.
Yeah. Next question. This week, which country reportedly fired 2 ballistic missiles towards the East Sea? Russia, China, or North Korea? Go for it, Dan.
It was the People's Republic of North Korea.
People?
And I put people and republic in quotes.
Yay.
North Korea fired 2 ballistic missiles towards the East Sea. Well, hey, what his grandfather, Kim Jong-un's grandfather, said that North Koreans will eat grass so they can have missiles and nuclear weapons. And they've been pretty true to that fact. I mean,
there's an interesting Ron Paul quote around this, though, where he talks about the fact, he's like, why do countries work so hard to do this? Look at the different way that we deal with North Korea and the way that we deal with, Afghanistan, right?
Yeah.
Afghanistan, we had no thoughts. We're just going to drop in there, do whatever the hell we want, 20 years, etc. Whereas, we wouldn't do that to North Korea, even though North Korea is clearly worse. I mean, as terrible as the Afghanistan regime is, the Afghani regime is, North Korea it's terrible, terrible. But we're not going to talk about regime change there because they do have nuclear weapons.
Right. Well, and actually, the former Pakistani prime minister actually said the exact same thing. One of the reasons that they so aggressively pursued their nuclear program was to have a better standing in international politics.
If I were going to bet where the next nuclear exchange will be, it will be in Kashmir, in between India and Pakistan.
Now, I don't believe it would be a missile attack. I believe that it would probably be a suitcase bomb or a carried bomb or something like that. And they do have rudimentary missile technology in Pakistan, but I totally agree. That is going to be where the next nuclear bomb is going to go off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Select all that apply. Which states did Tropical Depression Nicholas hit? Georgia, Texas, or Louisiana?
I know Texas for sure.
Yeah.
And it's also Louisiana because that was the second time New Orleans received flooding this year from a tropical storm.
And I'm going to say that it can't include Georgia because Georgia and Louisiana are not contiguous, and so it would be impossible for hit Louisiana and Georgia and not hit other states.
And there you go. That's correct. Not Georgia. It's crazy. This year
it says 14 inches of rain in my old hometown of Galveston, Texas.
Yeah.
Which I want to give a shout out. September 15th was the start of Hispanic Heritage Month.
Mm-hmm.
And Bernardo D. Galvez, who was the Spanish mayor of Louisiana, helped out during the Revolutionary War. Great patriot. So shout out Bernardo D. Galvez and my hometown of Galveston.
Very nice. Yeah, the weather's been crazy this year. The Justice Department asked a federal judge to block a law restricting access to abortion, vaccine mandates, or voting rights.
I don't know this.
It's the access to abortion, isn't it?
Yeah, we talked about that because I said, it has to be Health and Human Services, but it was the Justice Department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's access to abortion. I'm sure of it. Yep, it is.
Texas thing, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well, and it makes sense too because the federal courts have made rulings on abortion, but they have not made federal rulings or Supreme Court rulings on vaccine mandates or voting rights. So basically, they're just making the lower courts stand by their decisions. So it kind of makes absolute sense.
Yeah, that's a wacky law too. The idea that essentially you're deputizing people to enforce law that includes violating other people's privacy that the government is forbidden from doing.
Yeah. Well, and that's how they get around it is because they're asking citizens to do it. I would like to say that Texas has received over 65 million tips on this, and most of them are pictures of cartoon characters and other sundry things, nothing to do with abortion. So
I have been reporting Governor Abbott repeatedly because last week he looked pregnant and now he doesn't. So my suspicion is I will add in my other statement that it is, unless a woman is actually crowning in front of you, do not ask if she's pregnant.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my note.
Mhm.
This week, who testified before the Senate Committee on Afghanistan Withdrawal? Joint Chiefs Chairman General Mark Milley, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, or Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin?
I don't know, but I can tell you, I really wish the Secretary of State Blinken's first name was Abe.
Blinken.
Oh,
I think it was Lloyd Austin, just because Milley's in the news because they're talking about the fact that he called China before
yes.
twice to say, hey, we're not going to let the president nuke you.
Did you hear Trump's response to this?
What did he say?
Trump said he should be brought up on, if this is true, he should be brought up on charges of treason. I'm like, are you kidding me? He is trying to avoid an international war, and you want to bring him up on charges of treason. But whatever.
I mean, right. If you want to talk about treason, the definition of treason would be to conspire against the United States. The president is the ex-president is more guilty of that than anybody else.
Well, it shows how little President Trump understood things, because it wouldn't fit the definition for treason. It might fit a court-martial offense for failing to follow the orders of one lawfully appointed above you, or whatever that terminology is.
Right. Our very intelligent viewers seem to be believing that it is Blinken or Blinky. I do like that one.
Yeah.
And then we do also have one vote for Tony Soprano. So yes. But
I'll go with the audience. Winking, blinking, and nod.
Yeah.
And
Good
There we
job,
go.
audience.
I told you we have a very smart audience,
They're
very well educated. Blinken faced criticism on the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan as a contentious congressional hearing where at least 2 Republicans called him to resign.
So I have an opinion on. I mean, obviously, we don't want to go to foreign countries.
Yes.
We don't want to be there for 20 years, stuff like that. But if we were going to do all that stuff, we could have had a lasting effect by bringing high-speed internet to the entire country, because that liberates people.
Yes. High-speed internet and bringing I would have liked to have also seen, instead of spending $1 on ammunition or missiles or anything else, we should have spent an equal amount on building KFCs. Because
Chicken.
exactly. If we export our culture, we will win every single war. We never need to fire a bullet. We never need to fire a bullet.
If I can quote Mike Myers, the Colonel has a crazy recipe that makes me crave his chicken fortnightly.
And it actually all of KFC's recipes already conform to Islamic dietary concerns.
Oh, really? It's halal?
Halal KFC.
No, so the recipes do. The meat that is available in the United States is not halal,
Right.
but all they have to do is source the meat as halal, and all of the recipes already conform.
It's
So
interesting. I mean, that's again what I say. The business of America is business. We do a much better job exporting stuff like that, and the franchise model works well over there because
absolutely.
you make people wealthy.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
We put the high-speed internet in the KFCs. This is our next plan, Eric.
there you go. We're going back to Afghanistan, and we're doing it the right way.
Instead of bringing an army, we're bringing an army of restaurateurs.
There you go. The only colonel we need is Colonel Sanders.
I'm completely down with that. Have you ever seen what is it called? It's the Eddie Griffith movie. I don't know, but there's a general who comes out with his own chicken line. And says, I'm better than the colonel. It's the general's fried chicken. Great movie. Somebody in the audience will know what movie I'm talking about.
Probably not.
Nothing yet, but you know.
I'll get there.
Next question. Investigators looking into the January 6th riot have recommended disciplinary action against 6 police officers, rioters, or FBI employees.
I know this one because I live in the area now. It's police officers.
Yes.
And what's interesting about it is I am so this weekend is it's a guy's weekend for me. My posse's coming down from Boston and we're gonna play golf. And Saturday we're playing golf at this awesome course called East Potomac, which is in the shadow of the Washington Monument. And then we're actually going to the Nats game afterwards. And so, like, I'm thinking I might swing by the riots in the middle just to see what's going on. I'll have my golf clubs with.
This is live, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm just kidding, NSA. I'm not going to.
The FBI will be knocking at your door.
Right. When I'm talking about shooting in the 80s, I'm talking about my score. I'm not talking about anything else.
Oh, yeah, no, actually, so the 3 officers were singled out for unbecoming conduct, 1 officer for failure to comply with directives, 1 officer for improper remarks, and 1 officer for improper dissemination of information. So, yeah, it's all over the board there, but not exactly surprising either.
No, I mean, you saw some of the tapes. You saw there was some stuff going on. And in the crowd itself, there were a lot of police officers. Shout out to Keith Garrett for Undercover Brother is indeed the film I was referencing. Which, if you haven't seen it, fantastic movie, totally worth watching. It's that's the whole idea right behind which organization is it? Oathbreakers, where they are people who take an oath to defend the Constitution. So police officers, they actively recruit police officers. It's not Oathbreakers, it's something else. Oath Keepers.
Oath Keepers.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's well, we'll see what the investigation brings forward, but I'm sure this is not going to be the only interesting twist that goes into the entire thing.
No, I think that Saturday is going to be a little crazy.
Yeah.
What are your kids doing, Valerie?
I think that was Nick. What the hell? It sounds like I don't know what happened.
Oh, boy. Last time we heard a bang that loud, it was Xander with a plastic chair. Which animals at Atlanta Zoo tested positive for COVID? The elephants, the crocodiles, or the gorillas?
I don't know, but if you have a trunk like an elephant, you don't want an upper respiratory infection.
The gorillas.
I'm going to say gorillas,
I also agree, gorillas.
We have a very similar immune system, so I would say that makes the most sense. And it is. There you go. At least 18 of the 20 gorillas in the Atlanta Zoo have tested positive for COVID-19.
Since I'm throwing out movie quotes and it said crocodile, audience, this movie is Mama says crocodiles are ornery because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush.
Waterboy.
I know that one.
You know it? All right.
That one I know. We'll see if the audience does.
Oh, maybe they didn't hear me. Sorry. I spoiled it.
Oh, did you say it? You said? All right.
Yeah.
That's good. Valerie gets it first.
There you go. See, and when you said that you had a quote about crocodiles, I thought you were going to drop the line of, that's not a knife. This is a knife. Next question.
Oh, we ruined this one.
Which country? Oh, yeah, we did. Oh.
China.
Which country did Joint Chiefs Chairman General Marky Miley reportedly talk to over concerns that former President Trump could spark a war? Yeah, we already talked about that.
But you did get it right. His nickname is Marky Mark Miley.
Oh, yeah, it was China. It's just I don't even have
China.
I mean,
China.
Yeah. Yep. See, actually, even here, Trump said Miley should be tried for treason if the report was true.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, things like that have happened beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
Where, there's been contact at the highest level, and we notify foreign countries when we do something that might alarm them.
Yeah.
Like I have a missile test or something like that. So, the president has no idea.
No biggie.
No.
Yeah. I want to stop calling him the president. I guess that's revisionist history, but.
Select all that apply. Which of the following statements are correct about SpaceX mission? It has not been disclosed how much was paid for the crew to get into space. Elon Musk will join the all-civilian crew on the flight. And this is the first time an all-civilian crew will orbit the Earth.
Well, it's the last one.
Yeah, the last one.
All of the above is my.
I don't know. Was Musk on that one? I don't think he was.
Nope. Musk has already stated that he will never leave.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It'd be the first thing I would do. Push everybody all the way. Let me in.
Get out of here.
I don't believe. I mean, I know that they have disclosed how much they raised for St. Jude's, but I don't think the cost of the actual mission has ever been released.
Okay.
I don't know.
And I know this one's false. So
right.
let's try this.
Good job, guys. Yeah, Musk has already sent everything into space he wanted to when he sent that car into space that had the body of the hooker that he killed in the trunk. Sorry.
There you go. There's a new conspiracy theory that has been started on this show.
At least I'm not involved.
Oh Lord. But
are we sure?
You are in New Hampshire.
That's not what I heard, Valerie.
So here's an interesting. I mean, everyone knows that I'm a space junkie. So what is the last time that civilians were attempted to orbit at this height in U.S. history?
Is it the John Glenn mission?
It is not.
Damn it. I mean, the
Challenger?
You are correct.
I meant the later John Glenn mission, not the first John Glenn missions, when he went up in the space shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, John Glenn was a U.S. senator, and he was. They actually reintroduced him into the military for that.
Interesting.
Yep.
Did they really?
Yep. He went back active duty for 1 week on
like
that.
80 years old then, wasn't he?
80 years old. Yeah. He actually became the oldest active serving individual because of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There is, that people are looking for something to read. The biography of John Glenn is
phenomenal,
astonishing.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. Very few people have walked the earth that are like John Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. John Glenn is a fascinating individual.
Yeah.
Last question. Select all that apply. This week, which elite gymnast testified in front of the Senate on the FBI's mishandling of the Larry Nassar investigation? Michaela Maroney, Gabby Douglas, Allie Raceman, and Simone Biles.
I'm going to guess all of the above again.
I don't know the answer to this one, so I will agree with you, Dan. All of the above.
Maybe. I think I saw something about Simone Biles, but
I mean, Allie Reisman is the woman with that look with her face. She invented that. Michaela Maroney, I think it's all of them. They're all gymnasts. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they are all gymnasts. I recognize the names. I just don't know who.
Yep.
Incorrect.
Wait.
All of them except Gabby Douglas.
That's hard.
Yeah.
All right, that's not bad. What we do, 90%, 80%?
90%.
90%. That's very exciting.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Oh, so yeah, it is 9 o'clock on the dot. We had amazing timing this week.
Yeah,
Any last comments or things to share before we end off the night?
You know, it's important what's happening on LPTV because it is. So this is me as an old person statement. One of the things that there's an interesting theory. It talks about the fact that when I was a kid, every Wednesday when we would get to elementary school, all the kids would talk about what happened on Happy Days the night beforehand.
Yeah.
Because there were only 3 television channels, and we had this sort of combined media experience. It's so not like that now. We don't have any unifying media experiences. You know, maybe a little bit in sports, but sports are nowhere near as popular as they used to be. And so, you know, LPTV provides this wonderful place for libertarians to get together and have a shared experience among us. And our community is so important and so special. We should be focused on sustaining ourselves. And so, you know, this is my appeal to everybody out there. Get in, find, you know, LPTV. Cato does amazing broadcasts. People for Liberty on occasion. We have a show on the air. In fact, right now, Libertarios Hispanos is on Hispanos. Hanos rhymes with Thanos. Libertarios Hispanos is on the air over on People for Liberty, the Spanish language broadcast.
Yep.
One of the amazing things about the 50th birthday party was I got to meet Ed and Alicia Clark for the first time. People who don't know, Alicia Clark was chair of the LNC 30 years ago. She was, and she is a Mexican national. She was born in Mexico. And when I told her that there was a Spanish language broadcast about libertarianism, she was unbelievably emotional about it. You know, it meant so much to her that that sort of thing is happening right now. And so, you know, the last thing I want to say is that LPTV it's for everybody. And the most important thing people can do is watch and share, spread it out there, because there's good stuff that happens here. We were funny today. Not so much Valerie, but the rest of them. I'm just kidding.
Well, and the other great thing is, Dan, this is something that you wanted to do. We have live programming on LPTV 6 days a week.
Right. It's amazing. So people should be tuning in all the time. Sharing is caring. That's what the Libertarian Party is about.
Absolutely.
Yes, I am speaking this weekend at a event called Perspectives of Freedom, and it's going to be in Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, which is not anywhere near a shore of any kind, maybe a river. And it is an event put on by congressional candidate Liz Terwilliger out of Pennsylvania. So
very nice.
That'd be awesome. Is there a link? People should search for Perspectives on Liberty and Liz Terwilliger.
Terwilliger, yes.
Terwilliger.
Spike and Tasha Cohen will also be there speaking.
That's cool.
Yeah, going to be a big event in Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Exciting. I will be playing golf and waving my golf clubs at the rioters as they storm the.
Be safe.
Laura, anything you got going on?
Well, nothing big. I'll probably be cooking dinner for my son who is in college, but today is his 18th birthday. And, and he just finished his Eagle Scout project like 48 hours ago and got his paperwork turned in. So, you know, he had to do it, and he had to do it before he turned 18. So, so we waited till the last minute, but he got that done and he turned 18, and I imagine he'll show up sometime for, you know, roast beef and mashed potatoes.
There you go.
You pick. There's one other thing I want to stick in there. A lot of times, you know, we're very cognizant about people who have served, and we say thank you for your service. Or I've started saying, you know, I'm glad you made it home. Thank the parents that you know who are raising good kids, because it's not easy. And you know, I have the privilege right now, a friend who's allowed me to be in her children's life, and it's really incredibly meaningful to me. And she's raising them so well. She and her husband are raising them so well. And so, Laura, thank you for raising amazing kids. Valerie, thank you for raising amazing kids. It is well, 3 of them
So far.
But it is. And so, yeah, think about it, folks. If you know people who are raising amazing kids, tell them you appreciate it, because those kids are going to be our future.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Breed them for freedom.
And my son, having turned 18, is a newly registered libertarian in Nebraska.
Yay!
So, and I've drug him to several LP events over time, conventions around the country. So
That's not nice.
I know. Well, he seemed to enjoy it.
But on that note, I can't believe it's been a year. I look forward to doing this for another year. And yeah, everyone have a great night. And we'll see you again next week, where we don't have a guest lined up yet.
Oh, okay.
It was going to be Spike Cohen. It was going to be Spike Cohen, but due to a scheduling conflict, that's not going to happen. So he's been rescheduled to October 28th. So,
All right.
But on that note, everyone have a great night. We'll see you again next week, and we'll have a guest. I promise you. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.